students, we're continuing our journey today, taking a look at the work of Sigmund Freud and psychosexual stages of development. I have some remarks of my own, and then I'm going to link to an included video that you'll need to click onto, but you've learned how to do that along the way. In the included video, you're also going to see these same 5 stages mentioned: oral, anal, phallic, latency, and genital. I'm not going to go through them myself right now, but I do want to mention them to you so you'll save a space in your brain, because they are coming up in some more detail in a few moments. But before we begin that included video, there are some things I'd like to mention, and I'm going to review them later. First off, historically, this is a very first stage theory in psychology. Before Freud came along, people basically believed that children were small adults and held them to adult standards. In very, very old England, 1700, if you were 6 years old and you stole something worth more than about $50, the penalty was death. I mean, you knew it was wrong, you knew that the penalty was death, and so they hung you. Well, Freud came along, and some other folks, by way of leading up to him, and said that's a bit too harsh, because children have to develop. Now, the specifics of his theory have not stood the test of time well, but it's very important from a cultural point of view. As you live your life, you'll hear many remarks to Freud's theory. Another thing I'd like to point out to you is that you may remember from an earlier video that Erikson's stages of psychosocial development are a reworking of the earlier work of Sigmund Freud. Freud focused on the sexual side of things and Erikson on the social side. Erikson also added 3 additional stages. Another thing of interest, and let's give Freud credit for this. While his stage theory of development doesn't fit all the time, it does fit some of the time. And one of the things that Freud said was that incest, not just the fantasy of it, was a real social problem. He was forced to retract that, however, because it was so upsetting to many people. The chief of police of Berlin at one point during his lifetime was asked probably how many cases of incest actually occur in Berlin every year, a city of over 1 million people. He said at most perhaps 1 case or 2, because it's so terrible a thing. However, you and I know that the numbers are bigger than that, and that's one of the reasons why there's a Child Protective Services nowadays. But let's take a look now at the included video that goes over these stages in some detail. It's very well done, and so I'm going to take advantage of this other person's hard work and give them the credit for it. The last 3 minutes they're reviewing from some examination that whoever they are at their school has to take, and you may find those review questions valuable too. So here we go. Push the button just above my head for any video. Did you watch the video about psychosexual stages of development that was included? If not, go back and click on the link just above my pointed finger. Just stop now and then go back. Well, I certainly hope you found that video that you just watched interesting and valuable. I do believe that it was well done. Let's go back and review a little bit now from my own presentation. Not only was this the very first stage theory in psychology, Freud invented the whole concept of stages. That's incredibly basic. Now, his stage theory does not pass the test of time real well. It does describe some people, but not everybody in the world, which is what he thought. Some people do go through an Oedipal or Electra situation. Did you ever know a little girl, 5 or 6 or 7 years old, who wanted to grow up and marry her daddy? Sure, happens all the time. They get over it when they're 8. And something else to remember is that Freud's work became the basis for Erikson's later stage theory of development, a psychosocial theory. What Erikson did was not deny the sexual stuff, but just say it was not as important as Freud thought, that the social things that were going on were more important. Also, let's give Freud credit for saying that, yes, there is such a thing as incest that society must address. Well, here's hoping that you're finding these videos that I'm making interesting and valuable, and also giving credit to the other folks whose work I have linked to. So you take care now and have yourself a great psychology day. Bob Morecook out here.